Good evening, everyone. If you can hear me, confirm so that we start the class.
We can hear you.
Okay. Let's open the master's data. That's what we'll be using today.
Hello, George.
Yes.
I have a question. It's regarding to the previous class, that is yesterday. I don't know if I can bring it up right now or maybe after the class.
I think you can.
I
Just go
can.
ahead as I. Yeah.
Okay. So I remember that we were we were grading our students with the
Mm.
different grades. But now, for example, I remember that we were saying maybe. Can I share my screen?
Yeah. Sure. Let me
Sure.
stop presenting so that you can on your end.
Okay. How do I share my screen?
Okay. I think you're good to go.
Okay, just a moment. Oh, I can present. Yeah, your entire screen. Okay. So, so for example, you can see my screen.
Not yet, but
Not yet. Okay. Just confirm to me if you can see it.
still you can. I think I also understand. Just as you also work towards sharing, you can also maybe ask the question.
Okay,
Because
so we defined our function here at the our grid. So I'm asking now, for example, if I got one of the average grades for the students is a 70, yet we were only assigning like, it's less than 70, it's greater than 70. What about if it was actually equal to 70? I've been trying to do it, but it's giving me an error all through.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, I think when you set conditions, so the first one we said we will assign a grade of
If it's less than 40.
so, so let me just create some data, just a simple one. For those who don't have the file, you can download. You can get this file from the. If you go to download training material, which is desktop, you will be able to get the file. And in case you don't have it, I will make a link to share.
Angelina, can you hear me?
So you're in contact with Emmets or the D.
Okay. Was you to see my screen? I think I can share what I have so that the rest of you can follow through. So Lucy, I have a database like this. So these are the averages, assuming, and we are assigning grades.
Could we put
So
an 80 somewhere? Maybe an 80 or a 70. The exact number. An exact number. Yeah. Yeah, let's have that.
okay. Okay, so we can use this one. So what is the question about 70 and 80?
So you see, in the previous data set, what you are doing, what the kind of data that we had, we did not have, like, because we were saying, we were giving it like, if maybe if our nini is less than 40, we give it an E, the way but we did not have like, if it's equal to 40. Do you get me? Like, you get me? Yeah.
So the threshold or the level that we had, we say if somebody's average is less than 40, we say what? Give this person a grade of E. Okay? We said again, if it's less than 50, then we give this person a D.
A D, yeah.
So let me just use the third one. So I say if it's less than 60, we give this person a C. And then if it's less than 70, we give this person a B. So I believe your question is, what if somebody scores, let's say 70?
Yes, or 50. Yeah.
A or B, or where does he get accommodated into? Is that what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay, so what does this mean? When you say less than 40, they get E, so it means anyone from 39, they will, I think this one is even what happens in campus. If you get 40, you get an E. Actually, it's part of E. Okay?
40 is a D.
You get a D, yeah? So that means you have passed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the clarification. So if you get 39, that's when your grade will be E. But 40 is not less than 40. I hope I'm communicating. So 40 is not less than 40. So the software doesn't understand that 40. The software actually understand that 40 is not less than 40. So it will treat. So if I have someone, let me have someone with 40, maybe even here. So that we see what the software will give this guy to clarify about our doubts. So I'll just be moving fast, and we said the function is if, and if the logic test is if the average is less than 40, comma, value if true, then let it give us an E, comma. If that's not the case, then let the software, that's when we are using another one. So let me just have two functions. So I say if again the average is less than 50, and this time I'll give a D. Otherwise, let me say give it, let the software give us A. I don't have to do all the way to the end. Okay. I execute that. I'm prompted to say yes. And if I autofill, so we realize the guy who gets 40 is given a grade of D. That means he is between, so for D, it counts from 40, the person who actually scores 40, all the way to the student who scores 49. That is the D. For C, it will take the student who actually scores 50 all the way to 59. Okay. But now you're the one to, you can also have equal. I think you can also use, you can say greater or equal to. So assuming here I say, let me see how that, so I can say less or equal to 40. Let me see if this will behave. So I can say if G2 is less or equal to 40. Let's see if there will be changes. Yes, so if you include the equal sign, then that means the 40 score becomes part of E. But if you just use the less than sign, then it means 40 will not be part of E. I hope you can see the changes once I've introduced equal sign.
Yeah, now I think I get it now. I think I get it. Thank you.
Let's go to the master data. Unless there's someone who doesn't, who has not accessed this file. And in today's session, I want to be I want to assume you guys are now at a different role. You're not just trainers in a class trying to assess your student, but now this time I want you to assess some employees who are doing some sales job. So you can be a sales manager, an accountant, or whatever, regardless of the situation you want to put yourself into. But in this data set, I have a list of employee. That's why you're seeing employee number. That means every employee have some sort of identity. They can be identified with some numbers. I have their name starting from Duncan all the way to Ruth. They also have some code. Code is a way of maybe ensuring confidentiality about the status of an employee. So code is meant to pass a certain information about that employee. Of course, because of clearance level, you not have all information just displayed for anyone. So if this data set was meant to be used by a junior officer, you realize you don't want a junior officer who works in finance and then understand about employment status of everyone. So that's why we have information like code. So in this case, we will want to know what is this code. Like for instance, for Duncan is FT. So we want to know what does FT mean, because there should be a meaning behind it. These guys are opening. They are working in different regions, and they are given some sort of target. So there's some sales that they're able to achieve in that period of time, whether it's a month, whether it's a year, whether it's a quarter. But all I know is you have set some target, and there's an amount that these employees were able to achieve within that period of time. And our job here is to pay them. You want to pay these people bonuses, but you're not just paying people for free. There's a condition. You'd only pay someone if they achieve their target. So if I have a condition and say, I want to know that, assuming I'm your boss, and I tell you, okay, as an administrative assistant or as an accountant, I want to know the total amount of money I'm paying these people as bonuses. So if I'm to send you to a bank, I tell you, okay, go and withdraw this amount of money, because this is what we are paying these people. But again, the instruction says don't pay everyone. Pay only individuals who surpass their target. So you realize in this case, we will borrow a lot from what we were doing in the previous classes. That's what we just done right now, where we are assigning grades. So it's just like saying it's a cut mark. So you're telling a student, if you achieve more than 40%, then it means you have passed. If you don't achieve more than 40%, then it means you're failed. So that's exactly what we're going to do here. So you're telling again someone, if you achieved your target, then it means we will pay you bonus. If you didn't achieve your target, then it means what? We're not paying you bonus. So we're going to use a function called if. So go to your bonus. The function is if. So start with an equal sign, select if, double click on if. Now let's start with logic test. And logic test is what matters most, because if you miss out on the logic, the software will not understand, or it might not give you the correct thing. So the logic here, we say what? If your sell, if whatever you are able to sell that month is greater than your target, if your sell is greater than your target, comma, then what should happen? Value if true, you give that person 5% so if it's true that somebody has surpassed their target, then you give them 5%. So just find 5.
of, which you use the star sign, that's how we do multiplication, that's shift 8. So you give that person 5% of what? 5% of whatever they were able to sell. So you go and click on the cell E2, comma. So I'm being guided by the hint down there. So it says at this time I'm supposed to be keying in value if false. So what should happen if an employee is not getting the 5% of whatever they were able to sell that month? So I'll give them 0. So value false, just right there 0. If you press enter, the software returns for us 0 for Duncan, which means Duncan was not one of the employees who surpassed their target. The target was 350 and he was able to sell 320. Autofill. And the instruction was, we want to know the total amount that we are paying these people. So just go somewhere down there and have total. So we're doing summation. And for summation, just do sum. Now list all the items that are there. Now select all the bonuses so that we know the total amount that you're paying the employees. Press enter. And from the results, we can see that if you are the clerk, then you should go and withdraw 402.8. Let's talk about net pay. I hope that is clear. At some point, we also need to pay these people the net pay. And the net pay is basically the bonus plus 10% of what they were able to sell. And then, so there's also a condition. And again, we say where you are not going to receive a net pay if you are not receiving any bonus. There's a condition here. Let's say the people who are going to be paid net pay, one, there's a condition. And the condition is you must be receiving a bonus for you to receive a net pay. What is your net pay? Your net pay should be the bonus that you received plus 10% of what you are able to sell. So again, we're going to use conditions. And condition here, that means the function we're going to use is if statement.
Judge, excuse me.
Sure.
Can you please repeat for them the bonus of the yes? Thanks.
Okay. So let's just do it. Let's clear the content. So we said bonus is a factor of a condition. So there's a condition that somebody has to meet before they are given a bonus, and that condition is if your target was something which was higher than what you were able to sell. That means you have attained your target. And what happens when you attain your target? 5% of whatever you're able to sell. So let's start with an equal sign. And then if statement, if function. And from the if function, we'll get the logic test. And the logic test is if sell is greater than target. What should happen? If that's the case, value is true, then right there 5% of whatever you are able to sell, which is now cell E2, comma, So the software must know what else. If this guy is not receiving this 5% of your cell, then give the person a 0. Press enter, autofill, and you can see the total. Of course, we already done the total, and the total is 402. Let's talk about net pay. You say again, net pay is if your bonus is something which is greater than 0. So of course, it's up to you to develop the condition, and I'm curious about different methods that you can use to solve this issue of net pay. So you can either develop your logic test using sales and target, or you can develop your logic test using the bonuses. And for me, I will use bonuses to come up with the criteria. So I will only pay a person if they were receiving a bonus. So what does that mean? It means if your bonus is any value which is not the same as 0. So if bonus is greater than 0, equal sign. If bonus is greater than 0, so you know what that means. So if your bonus is greater than 0, then it means you are actually receiving a bonus. And if you're receiving a bonus, actually your sell was greater than your target. What should happen if your bonus is greater than 0? So you should receive the bonus that you are being paid plus 10% of your sell, comma, same drill. If you're not receiving any bonus, then you also don't have any net pay, so you get a 0. Press enter, and if you autofill, you'll be getting the net pay.
Judge, so for mine, if I do the bonus, I get why it's 0. I'm getting false.
You're getting false. You should put 0. So there's when you're putting the logic, you remember when you ask value if true, so you normally put the condition for bonus. So
If,
under value false in your
if you could
formula, I'm
double,
sure you don't have any 0. So go and put 0 there so that you don't get false.
okay. So if you double click HG2, okay. Okay.
So that's comma and then 0. The last item should always be a 0 so that you don't get the false.
Okay.
Get autofill, get the net pay, and I hope that is straightforward. It's more or less the same thing that we have been doing. Let's talk about ISL, and let's talk about comments. And for comments, I will ask you guys to do it. And this is the scenario. Assuming I come and tell you, now that we have paid people both their bonuses and their net pay, it's end month or it's end of the financial year, and I need to decide, am I going to fire some people or I'm going to retain some? So assuming your job is to tell me the number of people that I'm going to retain. So I want to know the number of employees that I'm going to retain, that is after reviewing their payment. And under comments, I want you to either have someone is fired or they're going to be retained. But my main goal is I want to know how many people are going to be retained. And for you to be retained, the condition is you must be receiving a net pay. Let me leave that for you guys to do first before I demonstrate. So my question is, I want you to work on that part of comments, and there are two uh, outcomes. Either somebody is retained or is going to be fired. For you to be retained, you must be receiving a net pay. My question is, based on this data set, I want to know how many employees are going to be retained. 2 minutes to do that. I'll be calling your name randomly, and I want to know the result that you'll be getting. I want to know how many are going to be retained.
Excuse me, George. You've said what's the condition for you to be paid?
Good. So we're saying we have comments, and there are two things that can happen in the comment section. Either you as an employee, the employee has been retained or has been fired. For you to be retained, you must be receiving a net pay. Okay, so that's the condition. You must be receiving a net pay. But my question is, I want to know how many employees are going to be retained.
Okay, thank you.
Kevin, how many people are we going to retain?
I'm writing the functional. Just give me a minute.
Okay, no pressure. Take your time. Lucy?
I am still writing the function.
Okay.
George, I'll retain 14.
Who has a different figure from that? For those who are still doing it, I want someone to challenge Kevin's figures, unless all of us were agreeing. We can do it together. Let's see if 14 is the correct answer. So there's around 6 ways of solving this.
George, my Excel has stopped working.
Nick, you want to say something?
My Excel has stopped working when I was working on the retaining.
What are you writing there until it decides to let you down? But I hope you're getting the concept, even if the software, even if the computer is letting you